President Donald Trump was unhappy with his sparsely attended military parade over the weekend and blamed it on Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, biographer Michael Wolff revealed. Wolff told the Daily Beast podcast that Trump wanted a menacing show of force to celebrate the Army's 250th anniversary and his 79th birthday on Saturday, but got a festive parade instead. He's pissed off at the soldiers, Wolff said. He's accusing them of hamming it up, and by that he seems to mean that they were having a good time, that they were waving, that they were enjoying themselves and showing a convivial face rather than a military face. As thousands of soldiers flanked by tanks made their way past empty bleachers along Constitution Avenue in Washington, D.C., social media users pointed out that the soldiers were marching out of sync, and the muted atmosphere appeared to match the gloomy weather. That didn't escape Trump, who pointed the finger at his defense secretary, according to Wolff. He kind of reamed Hegseth out for this, the Trump biographer said. Apparently, there was a phone call, and he said to Hegseth, "The tone was all wrong. Why was the tone wrong? Who staged this? There was the tone problem. Trump, he keeps repeating himself." It didn't send the message that he apparently wanted, which is that he was the commander-in-chief, chief of this menacing enterprise, Wolff added. In response, the White House blasted Wolff once again as a lying sack of shit who has been proven to be a fraud. He routinely fabricates stories originating from a sick and warped imagination, only possible because he has a severe and debilitating sense of Trump derangement syndrome that has rotted his peanut-sized brain, White House Communications Director Stephen Chung told the Daily Beast. Publicly, Trump has insisted that his parade was a tremendous success, even after it was overshadowed by No Kings demonstrations across the country, which drew in millions of Americans who protested against the president's sweeping immigration agenda. Last night was a tremendous success with a fantastic audience, Trump told reporters on Sunday. It was supposed to rain. They gave it a 100% chance of rain, and it didn't rain at all. It was beautiful.
So fearful Donald Trump, the monster that we are all afraid of, is a, to mix a metaphor, paper tiger.
I'm Joanna Coles, Chief Content Officer of The Daily Beast, and you are listening to, watching, possibly ironing your clothes to, or walking your dog to The Daily Beast podcast. Regular viewers will recognize that I am not in my usual habitat. Instead, I'm staying at the Carlton Hotel in the south of France in Cannes for the Cannes Lion Creative Festival, which celebrates marketing, advertising, and creativity. So that's why I'm not in our usual studio, but I am fixed on all things America, not least, of course, Donald Trump's birthday parade. Who better to unpack it with than our regular guest, who many of you love, and incredible comments from our last podcast together, the man who lives in Donald Trump's head, Michael Wolff. Michael, let's waste no more time. Let's get into it. Okay, Michael, so much to discuss, as always.
And you're in Cannes.
I'm
Yes.
in Cannes.
Wish I were there.
No, you don't wish you were here.
I do. I've been many times, and it's, and it's the south of France.
It's the south of France.
Even with people you detest, which are most of the people who go to Cannes Lions, it is nevertheless still the south of France.
Of course, all anybody is talking about here is Donald Trump and the significance of Donald Trump. And I need to make a quick apology following all the comments we got from our last podcast, because I misidentified Senator Padilla. I called him, or Padilla as you call him, I called him Anthony instead of Alex. And actually, I didn't realize that he was the senior senator from California. For some reason, I thought Adam Schiff was, because Adam Schiff has been on the landscape for such a long time.
I mean, but they're both new.
Well, exactly. They're both new and relatively new in their senator roles. And is it Padilla or Padilla?
Technically, it's Padilla, but we're in America.
People seem to refer to him as Padilla. Anyway, Senator Padilla, if you're listening, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were the senior senator from California. And I also felt guilty, actually, to hyperbole about the state of chaos, as I was referring to it in California, which many people pointed out is just not true. It's a small area of LA that's in lockdown, which makes it even more egregious that Donald Trump has called in the National Guard over the head of Gavin Newsom, who we spoke to last week. Anyway, I wanted to address those comments because many of you wrote in, and you're perfectly right. So let's get that out of the way. And then we have another very nice comment about your bookshelf, which I'm going to come to right at the end of this podcast. But obviously, this weekend, it was the birthday parade, and I am unbelievably curious to find out what you thought of it. And then, as importantly, what the man whose birthday parade it was thought of it too, none other than our own president, Donald Trump. What are you hearing? What are people saying?
It's really important to understand when we think about Donald Trump, how much time he spends complaining. Nothing makes the man happy. And spending $45 million on a birthday celebration appears not to have made him happy either. He's kind of pissed off. He's pissed off at the soldiers. He's accusing them of hamming it up. And by that he seems to mean that they were having a good time, that they were waving, that they were enjoying themselves and showing a convivial face rather than a military face.
Interesting.
And he kind of reamed out Hegseth for this. Apparently there was a phone call and he said to Hegseth, the tone was all wrong. Why was the tone wrong? Who staged this? There was the tone problem. Trump, he keeps repeating himself. So that was the word on that phone call was tone. I would interpret that he wanted something menacing, I suppose, something military, like something like, this is the most staggering force in the world and maybe it will come for you. Instead of, I think it appeared to a lot of people that there was a kind of festive air. Everybody was actually celebrating something. The 250 years of the U.S. military, probably celebrating that more than Donald Trump's birthday. But it didn't send the message that he apparently wanted, which is that he was the commander-in-chief of this menacing enterprise.
In front of Chicago doors, you get free once you still get. Yeah, you gotta do this the whole time.